The Dinorwig Slate quarry began as a commercial enterprise way back in the 1780s. It grew to become the second largest slate quarry in the world. By the late 1860s, the quarry employed around 2,500 men. They lived in the surrounding villages. But originally, Llanberis was not one of them. And if it wasn't for the railway arriving in 1869, Llanberis would probably not have developed at all. Known as Coed y Ddôl at first, Llanberis grew into a quarryman's village in the 1870s. To take advantage of this sudden population explosion, a young photographer called Issac Hughes from Denbighshire moved in. When Hughes left Llanberis in 1886, his work went with him and became largely forgotten. Remarkably, almost exactly 100 years later, the treasure trove of his photographs and paperwork were discovered in an attic in Thomas Street. Issac Hughes, it transpired, was the very first photographer to spend time with the quarrymen in Dinorwig. Throughout the 1870s and 1880s, he chronicled the quarrymen at work. Hughes's photographs give a tantalizing glimpse into their lives. They were hard times, as the expressions on their faces testify. And in having their photographs taken, some were either very brave or very foolish. Quite often when Hughes asked his subjects to stay still, he would sit them down on barrels of live gunpowder. Some quarrymen were very old, still working into their 70s. Others were just boys who started their working lives as young as 11 or 12, learning their trades from their fathers or uncles. All to bring in a few extra pennies. Issac Hughes also set up a studio in the village and photographed the very first generation of men, women and children to live in Llanberis. These people were pioneers and settlers. We get to see many of the women, some wearing mourning dresses, having lost their husbands in the quarry. For them, making ends meet was very hard, and that is why they hoped to have many sons, so that they could be sent to work in the quarry. Women's roles in the quarrying villages were largely confined to looking after the health and well-being of their families. The only role women had in the quarry itself during Issac Hughes' time were as nurses in the quarry hospital. Over 150 portraits taken by Hughes were discovered in his collection. Through meticulous research, the identities of a few has become known. This was Richard Hughes, a chemist and lay preacher. Pont Hughes Druggist Bridge is named after him. This is believed to be G. Tequin Parry, Methodist minister, author, and by all accounts a witty raconteur. Elizabeth Hughes, photographed here on Thursday the 8th of August 1878, aged just 4 months. Her father was killed in the quarry before she reached her 10th birthday. William Williams, the blacksmith. His smithy once stood on this spot at Cynnant Coch. Most of these people will forever remain nameless, but these are all voices from the past. For many who live in Llanberis and the surrounding areas to this day, the people that Issac Hughes photographed are their ancestors. Generations have come and gone since Issac Hughes' time in Llanberis. Although the quarry closed in 1969, the village has found new ways to sustain itself. Tourism, heritage, trade, commuting. None of it would be here if it wasn't for the people that Issac Hughes photographed.